Get ready.
Hi, my name's Kaz Riley, and this is the Hypnosis 247 Live Network, and this, of course, is Trancing in the Sheets. And I've got a really super interesting guest for you today, but before I go over to him, just to remind you that you got that snazzy, super sexy link in your inbox when you join the network, which means you've got a $200 gift card that you can use towards discounts, towards hotels, car hire, and all kinds of wonderful things. And if you're wanting to know how gift cards can help your business, all kinds of different destinations, some really super hot and sexy destinations on the list now, then just put the word solutions in the box below and we'll send you out some amazing information. So super easy, but don't forget to activate that link because that's your $200 gift card. Today, Trancing in the Sheets with me, I have a really super interesting guy. He's been using hypnosis since 1996. He works in the fields of sexuality, sensuality, right across the board, all kinds of different ways in various communities. He's a sexual freedom hypnosis practitioner and an author of a new book, which we'll touch on as well. So I'm very happy and proud to welcome Mr. Jon Galane to the show today.
Hello, thank you very much for having me, Kaz.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's great to see you, Jon. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's great to see you also from across the pond.
I know. Isn't technology great that we can do this now?
It is. So much easier than those long flights.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it. Tell me. I do too many of those. But so tell us a bit. I mean, you really do work right across the board with sexual dysfunction, sexual enhancement, sensuality, tantra, all kinds of stuff, using hypnosis very, very successfully in some really cool ways. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, let me start with one of the coolest ways I use it, because I use hypnosis in conjunction with tantric sexual healing techniques and with Taoist sensual and sexual meditation, and using the body meridians and the acupuncture points. And there's a few things that I do that are absolutely mind-blowing. One of my favorites is I go on these couples cruises, the couples clothing optional cruises, and there's like 3,000 couples there, and I always have couples coming up to me and go, "You're the guy that teaches people how to squirt." And I say, "Yes, I am." And so I get a ton of clients on these cruises that want me to teach them how to squirt. The women or the couple, the guy says, "Teach me how to help her." And, you know, either way, they both are very into it. And what I do is I use hypnosis. I use hypnosis, and I also use a Taoist technique. And this is kind of mind-blowing because the ear is an exact duplicate of the body, where the head is on the bottom, the feet are on the top, and all the sexual organs sit right in the middle. And if you rub the ears, I know this sounds crazy, if you rub the ears 3 or 4 times, you will put somebody into a light trance. And then, of course, you can use hypnosis techniques to put them in a deeper trance. And they will feel, as you're rubbing their ears, they will feel it in all of their most wonderful sexual organs. So specifically, this is dealing with women, this particular type of thing I'm doing. And once the woman is in trance and relaxed, I make sure they're very relaxed and very deep. I have them, and I use manipulation. You know, it's a physical type of hypnosis, and there's obviously consent. But I manipulate them, or I'm there with the man, and he's manipulating the person and using tantric sexual healing to hit the G-spot. And I teach the man how to do it correctly, very gently. And in the meantime, I use hypnotic language to create the excitement and the relaxation. And then after the woman squirts the first time, which usually happens very quickly under hypnosis because you're so relaxed, and especially if it's someone with that they trust, like boyfriend, husband, somebody they're with, they'll squirt very quickly. They'll have immediate success where they've never had success before. And then I anchor it to a part of the body. you know, and I asked them if there's a part of the body that was touched and could help you squirt, what would you want it to be? Some people it's the ear, some people it's the face, some people it's the nipple, you know, it just depends. And I'll anchor that and have them squirt with that. And then after that, I will have them go practice it. I'll bring the person out of trance and say, you've got to go practice it 3 times to set the anchor. And they do. This, the funniest part of this technique is I get text pictures of wet beds and comments and all the time. So it's just hilarious what I get back on this. So that's one of my favorite things too, because it's so pleasurable for the couple. And of course I give all the power to the woman. So if anything happens to the relationship, they have the full power to use it with somebody else. So that's one of the fun things I do. I also do an oral sex class, and it's a couples only class. And I use the same thing, the Taoism, the Tantric, and the hypnosis together, and especially smells, because there are certain French wines, and I don't know how graphic I can get on the TV show, but I'm going to go for it.
Go for it. We're breaking new ground here.
Okay. There are certain French wines, big, heavy Bordeaux's, and certain Italian olive oils that smell just like pussy if they're warmed up. And what I do is I put them in a glass. You warm up the olive oil with your hand in a little glass, like a little snifter, and it emanates an aroma just like pussy. And I use that during the oral sex class to create a sense of how wonderful and clean and just natural it is for oral sex. And it gets rid of shame, it gets rid of guilt, it gets rid of fear on both the male and the female part. And I also use it with Bordeaux wine. There are certain French wines that once you let them breathe for a while, they have an aroma too, just like pussy. And people laugh at me. The first time I realized this, I was at a Vino Viola or whatever, and I smelled this wine. I'm going, oh my God, this smells just like pussy. And the guy looks at me and goes, what? I go, I need to use this in my classes. And I ordered 4 cases of it. I use it in all my classes because it's so good. So anyway, and then I go through the whole thing I talked about, the ears and touching and using various meridian points, because the gallbladder meridian and the liver meridian in acupuncture are very sensual meridians, and all the sensuality and the qua, which in Taoism is where the sexual energy is held down by the pubic area in men and women. Using that energy and going through those points, it creates intense pleasure. And it's interesting because men and women are different with yin and yang. Women with yin, their pleasure points start at the top of their head and the bottom of their feet. So for men out there, if you're trying to increase libido in women, if you're about to do anything sexually, if you massage the feet and up the inside and outside of the leg, and then go up to the head and around the breast without touching the nipple, after it's done, you don't have to touch anything sexually. That's where all the energy opens up. With men, it all sits between the upper thigh and the belly button. So if you start in the middle with a guy, you're good everywhere else. So I teach people that kind of sensuality stuff. I also work with erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation, most of which, just like in women with orgasmia or vaginismus, comes from shame, guilt, and fear. Those are the 3 biggies. So it's just working through those things. I use all of the sexual freedom techniques on that. And I'll also use some Gestalt techniques like the empty chair and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shame, guilt, and fear, you know, they keep us employed, don't they? Especially when we're working with sexual dysfunction. Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I have found, that I've learned, is women carry every sexual experience, including non-sexual experience, from their first male figure. So it could be a father or another relationship they had, close relationship. And I'm not talking about abuse. Women carry all the fear, guilt, and shame from any of those relationships that were not healthy for them. in the region, in their whole vulvic region. They carry it there as well as their mind and as well as their lower gut and their heart. And I always relate it to when I'm talking to women about this and talking to men about how to change their language patterns for the right patterns, is when we're an embryo, our head and our heart and our lower abdomen sexual region are all attached. We literally have 3 hearts and 3 brains. And they don't become one brain up top, one heart in the sexual area until we separate after about 12 weeks. And so we all start off with those 3 areas. And so with women, not as much in men, although it happens in men too, with women specifically, that shame and guilt sits right in their pubic region, as well as their head.
Do you know, I find this to be very true because, you know, when you look at what women are also taught, I think that's compounded as well, isn't it, over our lifetimes? We're kind of taught to be, you know, even when you're speaking to women about their sexual organs, you know, they can't say vagina or pussy or whatever it may be. You know, often they're kind of almost kind of like this, kind of covering it up, and, you know, kind of they can't even articulate. They're so they feel so much shame around even talking about their vaginas. It's quite scary, really. Whereas when we look in culture, you know, for the penis, there's all kinds of words that are just being thrown about all the time, aren't they? You know, and it's a very different thing. But it's very true, that kind of shame and guilt. And, you know, we're taught as well, I think women are still being taught here in, you know, 2019 about, you know, there's still this belief, isn't there, of, you know, that, you know, women aren't supposed to be sexual beings. You know, we're still supposed to be, you know, very demure and not want, you know, not to be sexual or overtly sexual or however it may be. We're supposed to kind of hide it all away, which is kind of
one of the worst things. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. One of the worst things that I find, and this goes through all religions, and that is that, and it's carried down, and it just is passed from one generation of woman to another, and that is, you know, it's dirty, and you should wait till you're married. It's like, oh my God. After they've been told that, your head, your heart, it's for all those years hearing it's dirty, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to blossom and be so proud of everything after that. It's impossible. And it's like one of the worst things that, and I'm not bashing religions, but it just so happens it happens at a really high rate there. And so it has, that has to be reversed. Now, here's the good news on that. And you and I both know this, and that is that beliefs that have been taught and carried with us our whole life are thoughts. So all you have to do is change the thought and the belief follows. So it's not hard. And you and I do that through hypnosis. So once we can change the thought process, because reality is only what your mind remembers it. Reality is not the same as what actually happened. Any kind of trauma in our lives, it always changes and it gets blocked by different things. So we go in, we find those thoughts, we heal and give the power back to the person, and this for men and women, and those thoughts then create a different belief system, and they become so much healthier so fast. And you and I both know this. We can do in 1 or 2 sessions what psychologists spend years trying to do.
It's absolutely outstanding, isn't it? Especially the power of hypnosis, something like that, in terms of helping somebody. And we're not asking them to disregard their beliefs, you know, even, you know, or their religion or anything like that. But this is about helping them to think in a different way so that they can believe different things about themselves and about their reality, so that they can have the life that they want, or the relationship that they want, or the sex that they want, without all this guilt and shame attached to it. Because, you know, I mean, I know I say this and I know you know this anyway, but, you know, sex is a fundamental part of being a human being. It's not something that you have to have, but it's a driving force. Our libido is our life force. It's not just about sexual, you know, sexual kind of libido. It's a much bigger thing than that. And you know, if there's shame and guilt attached to your life force, then life's not going to be much fun, is it?
No, and I call that, to reference my book, I call that the golden path. And the only way a person can get to their golden path in life is to be whole in their business relationships and business life, their personal life, their personal relationships, and their sexuality.
Absolutely.
Even though I don't talk about, I touch on sexuality in the book. It's not a lot, but it's clear that the people I've met that are most successful in life, and when I say successful in life, they're making the money they want, they have the relationships they want, they've got healthy sexuality. Those people have found their golden path. They're living their golden path. And to find that golden path, you must find out what your passions are.
Absolutely.
And when you ask people what their passions are, you'd be shocked how many people can't answer that question, or they don't understand what a passion is. And so that's part of what I teach also.
So let's talk about this. This is
Yes.
your new book,
Yes.
which, you know, is literally just been published. I was lucky enough to collect a copy from you in person in Las Vegas just a couple of weeks ago. But actually, as I've looked through this, I mean, there's the golden path and stuff in there, but this is your story, isn't it?
It is.
You know, this is a very personal book.
Yes,
Tell us
it
a little
is.
bit about the book.
Yeah, in 1999, when I was 39 years old, I had a very odd accident happen where I had a gallbladder stone break loose and blew up my entire bile system. It ended up in a 2-month period taking out half of my liver, 2/3 of my pancreas, destroying most of my guts, my stomach. I had holes everywhere. My wife of 5 months, who I've been married to for 20 years, we just celebrated our 20th anniversary. My wife of 5 months heard 5 times in the first month, "Don't expect him to make it through the night." Of course, nobody talked to me about that. So I have a little different way of doing things. Death is just not in the cards. So I created a program off of this. It took, I bled for 4 years straight. I couldn't eat for 4 months, anything, water, food, ice, nothing. I couldn't put anything in my system for 4 months. And then I had 4 years of problems after that. And so I developed a goal setting program, which I use in my practice for everyone. And it's a very simple 3-step program of using modern technology to figure out what your goals are, put them in present tense, I am or I will, and record them. Here's the whole in a nutshell that's in the book. It goes through how you do it, but in a nutshell, it's very easy. Record your goals, write them out one time for about 30 minutes, because everybody learns how you write your goals every day. Nobody does it. You know, they go to all these goal classes and sales classes and they walk away and gone. So it's super simple. It's funny, I did a presentation yesterday and one of the people in the presentation said, "Man, I went to this ninja sales class and I did this stuff for a week that you're teaching and blah, blah, blah." And I go, his name is Jason. I go, "Jason," I go, "did they teach you to put your goals in your phone and listen to them 5 minutes every day? Because the most powerful voice in the earth is yours and what you tell yourself." And he goes, "They didn't tell me that." I go, "They didn't tell you that because it's free. They sold you everything else about sales, but didn't tell you how to internalize it." So I just go right for how you really do it. And that is, you listen to them 5 minutes every day at work, when you're home, wherever, in your car. Great places in your car, because it's all passive learning. You don't even need to hear it. It goes in. So, and the book goes through that and then goes through my life. I owned a rock nightclub, biggest rock nightclub in Las Vegas in the late 80s, early 90s, had 52 bands there, like Night Ranger and Marshall Tucker and Melissa Etheridge and War, and, you know, just great artists. Got to meet them all. Meatloaf. I have a really funny story in there about Meatloaf and I. And so it goes through that. It goes through my business life and how I help people become successful in everything, successful in business, personal life, and relationships, and sexuality. So I have a full gamut of what I do. I'm not like just a run-of-the-mill hypnotherapist. And I also do erotic hypnosis on these cruises. As a matter of fact, I'm a host on a cruise coming up next week in France It's a wonderful way to live. I get to travel around the world and help people have orgasms. What's wrong with that?
Well, I would say that's a great way to live your life, and certainly there's absolutely nothing run of the mill about you, Jon.
No, no. It's funny. The person that runs the couples cruise said, "You lead the most exciting life of anyone I've ever met." And I agree. Being so sick taught me that every day is precious and you should do everything that you want every day as long as it's ethical, legal, and you're not hurting anyone.
Absolutely.
And I have lived my life ever since I was sick. I used to pray when I was in the hospital because, my goal every day is I'd get out of bed, which was hard enough, and I'd go look at myself in the mirror and say, my goal today is stay alive. And I did that for months. And I watched these people just live their life in pain and mediocrity and not willing to go anywhere outside the box. So I have lived my life outside the box every day.
Well, as you know, I'm not a boxy kind of girl myself. That's how I ended up in America talking about sexual freedom, some Brit from Yorkshire. So, and I get a similar thing, people say, your life looks really exciting, and my life is exciting. And, it's loving what you do, isn't it? I think
yes.
As hypnotists, we just do love what we do. But now I'm going to add in a bit of ear rubbing to that, I think I'm to learn how to do this. It sounds do you find when you tell people about the ear, you were saying about the ear, do you find that you just found a room full of people that are just sat there rubbing their ears?
Yeah, I do. I have a room full of people, and I always have a naked model to help me, and so I will start rubbing her ears and they get to see her reaction. And then I say, guys, just sit behind your woman, relax, get in a relaxing position, and have the woman get in a relaxing position. I start rubbing their ears from behind, and say, just whisper, fun, sensual things. It could be anything, but you start rubbing the ears. You pay special attention right to the middle part, and this is where all the sex organs. And you just go in circles around there. And they will start to feel it in their sexual region, and start moaning and you get the eyes rolling back and the skin flushing, and it's amazing. I know my wife will kill me for saying this, but every time that we're either going to have sex or having sex, her ears she's become so hypnotized by that and so self-trained by it. The minute I start rubbing him, forget it, right? I know it sounds like a crazy thing, but once someone loves their ears being rubbed, everything else is fair game.
There you go. And it's things like this to know, isn't it? This is what, sensual freedom is as well, because, people have this idea of what is sensual and what isn't, and what that means. And it's being able to explore, things like ear rubbing and all kinds of other wonderful things that, but they have to have the confidence and the communication to do that, don't they?
Yes, they do. And they have to learn communication techniques, which is the other thing I teach people, is the right, especially men too. Men don't believe it. They think all they need is a naked body, but it's not true.
No.
Men and women need to learn to talk in very sensual and very unique language, what we call covert hypnotic language. And when you learn to talk to your partner like that, you see the same thing, you feel the same thing, you're doing the same thing. You become very connected.
That's it. And that is, I think that's probably the underlying theme through all of the shows that I've done so far, is that ultimately it comes down to connection and communication. That they're the two key elements for all of this is connection and communication. So sadly we've run out of time, but I'm hoping that you'll come back again.
Anytime.
I think it's
I'll always do anything to help you. I think you are the greatest.
Thank you. Well, and I've got your book now, so a personalized signed copy as well, which
long distance. I have mine too.
There you go. So where can people get this? Is it available on Amazon?
It is. It's available on Amazon in Kindle. It's available in Kindle version and paperback. And
Fantastic.
it's on sale in Kindle for one more week for $2.99, then goes up to regular price. And we have a promotion on it, and the paperback is $19.99.
Fantastic. And just the whole of your story is just absolutely fascinating. And of course, you're my favorite kind of hypnotist, i.e. you walk, you talk, you know, you do what you say you do. You're out there with clients doing all of this stuff. I know you have 2 practices, don't you? You have one in Florida and one in, I want to say, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So I've got 2 practices, and then I separate I have 3 businesses within the practice. One is my regular hypnotherapy, and then my sensuality and sexuality. And then I have I do keynote speaking for corporations. I know it sounds like it crazy that none of them are connected, but believe it or not, they're all connected.
Yeah. And website, tell us about your website.
I have 2 websites. My website for my speaking business is 3-Step Goals. That's the website that's in the book, 3stepgoals.com, and that is my speaking business. And then my regular hypnotherapy business is Beach Hypnosis with 1 H. So beachhypnosis.com. And then my sensuality and sexuality business is firepowerpassion.com.
Wonderful. And of course, you are one of my sexual freedom hypnosis practitioners. So if people are looking for sexual freedom hypnosis over your way, then they know where to go now. I'm sure after hearing you speak today.
And I travel all over the world. I have clients everywhere. I even travel. I will have couples will hire me to come to them, and I'll spend 2 days with them on their sexuality and sensuality stuff and hypnosis. So I go all over the world.
Well, let me know when you're next in the UK, and we'll meet up, or when I'm over there. It'll be nice to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Thank you very much, Kaz. It's wonderful to spend time with you, and have a great day.
I will do. And if you're enjoying all the things that you're seeing on Trancing in the Sheets, there certainly is some fascinating conversations going on. But of course, I am only one of 8 hosts on the Hypnosis 247 Live Network. The other one, of course, is my favorite guy, the world's fastest hypnotist, Mr. Shawn Michael Andrews. He's got some really interesting things going on in his show. So don't forget to check him out. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Trancing in the Sheets. Thanks for joining us.
Get ready.